Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Welcome to Day 2 of Learning with Love, the 2025 PFLAG National Convention. My name is Edith Guffey, pronoun she, her, and I'm the chair of the PFLAG National Board of Directors, and it is wonderful to see you all here today. It's fitting and delightful that we're here together on National Coming Out Day. Whether you are out to everyone, or a few close friends, or only to yourself, we celebrate all of you, our LGBTQ+ loved ones. As many of you know, I'm a proud mom of a non-binary young adult. When my child came out to my husband and me, we knew just what to do. We expressed our love unconditionally. But when Brian, who now identifies as non-binary, told us they also wanted to come out at school and to our community, we didn't know what to do. We were a biracial family living in the Midwest in the 1990s. We definitely did not see a lot of rainbow flags then. And you know, that's why there's PFLAG, an organization founded on a mother's love for her gay son. PFLAG National has seen firsthand the transformative power of LGBTQ+ affirming parents have on communities. You know, we're working to change laws, to change attitudes, to provide families with resources to be affirming for their loved ones, and to make the world a safer place for people like Brian and the friends and family members who love them. It's because of my personal story, my love for my child, and my professional volunteer affiliation with PFLAG National that I am so proud to present 2 honors today. The first honor, the 2025 PFLAG National Flag Bearer Award, is given to a person for outstanding LGBTQ+ advocacy and in acknowledgement of their accomplishments and lasting contributions made to the safety and equality of our LGBTQ+ children and loved ones. Previous recipients of this award include Coretta Scott King, Senator Edward M. Kennedy, AFT President Randy Weingarten, Bishop Gene Robinson, and the Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund. This year's honoree has had a profound impact on LGBTQ+ people and those who love them here in Illinois and across the country. As a founding member of the Congressional LGBTQ Caucus, she has shown her deep and enduring commitment to preventing and ending discrimination against individuals based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. As a founding and continuing member of the Transgender Equality Task Force, she has been fully committed to pushing for legislative and administrative action to ensure that transgender people are treated equally and with dignity and respect. And this work is not only of professional importance to her, it is deeply personal. She and her husband, Bob Kramer, are the proud grandparents of not 1, not 2, but 4 queer grandchildren, including a trans man. For them and for her constituents, she has fought to protect gender-affirming care for trans youth. Her colleague, Senator Mark Takano, chair of the Congressional Equality Caucus, shared the following about her. Throughout her time in the House of Representatives, Congressman Schakowsky has been a steadfast ally to the LGBTQI+ community. Her legacy is defined by a deep-rooted commitment to the fight for LGBTQI+ communities and their rights, including the transgender community, and a determination to build a safer, more loving, and more equal future for her LGBTQI+ grandchildren. I am very proud to have served alongside such a powerful ally like Congresswoman Schakowsky in the United States Congress. She is profoundly deserving of this award for all she has done to advance our cause of equality for all, including serving as a founding member of the Congressional Equality Caucus. Congratulations, my friend, Congressman Schakowsky, and thank you for your service to our community. We at PFLAG National also thank her. Please welcome to the stage our 2025 PFLAG National Flag Bearer Award honoree, Representative Jan Schakowsky and her husband, Bob.
Right now?
Right now.
Okay. I'm here for, I was told, about 2 to 3 minutes. So Bob and I are going to be as quick as we can. I just want to tell you how much I love all of you. Thank you so much. And your organization is the best. I've been a part of that. And so I just want to tell you of a couple of things that I think you've already figured out. And that is love your children. Love your children. I was talking to my daughter yesterday, whose son is trans and changed his life. And he is now getting married to the love of his life, a straight woman. The two of them, and he doesn't, hide from what he was and what he is. We're so proud of Isaac. They just set a date for their wedding, and the family came from all over to be at the party to celebrate that. So we are proud to love and to honor the 4 trans and gay and whatever all they are. Yeah, I think we're really 5 if you want to count it right. Yeah, and we are so amazingly proud of you. Bob, did you want to say something?
I'm proud too. I'll tell you. Yeah. It's we love these kids, and we're just so proud to be part of all of you who are loud and proud and stand up with defiance, not fear.
I'm probably over our time already, but I want to tell you what you do in the Congress of the United States, what you do in the community, and most of all, what you do to your wonderful children. So I did want to say one thing, that when it comes to difficulties, gay and lesbian and trans people are more likely to commit suicide than other young people. So we have a mission, and that is to say, welcome, we love you, we stand with you, and you make us proud. So thank you so much.
Proud is indeed the word for the day. Congratulations, Representative Schakowsky. As a parent and proud grandparent myself, I relate so deeply to the passion and joy you bring to the experience of supporting not only your own kids and grandkids, but your many LGBTQ plus constituents as well. Thank you so much for being here. The next award, the 2025 PFLAG National Starr Award, honors a person who has done outstanding work as a member of PFLAG. This award is named in honor of Adele Starr, founder and first president of PFLAG National. The Starr Award is intended to recognize an individual within our membership who has made special personal contributions to PFLAG and its mission, and our honoree has certainly done that. Her contributions to PFLAG over the years have ranged from leading in her community and modeling the parental journey to affirmation of an LGBTQ plus child to founding the PFLAG Native Phoenix, the first and to date only Native chapter of PFLAG in its 52-year plus history. Now, as a founding member of PFLAG National's Two-Spirit and Indigenous Family and Parent Advisory Council, she is contributing to a major expansion of PFLAG's work supporting Native and Indigenous queer people and their families. Arguably, this work would not be happening without the groundwork she has laid at the chapter level. Please welcome to the stage the recipient of the 2025 PFLAG National Starr Award, Sheila Lopez. I'll get out of your way.
Thank you. Yat A, Shik do Shitane do Ahyahet Nitsago. Hello, everyone. I just said hello and thank you, a big thank you. My mom is Navajo, and I was taught to introduce myself in Navajo. So I'd like to share that now. She'e Sheila Lopez Yanisha, Kia Ani Nishle, Do na kai bashish chin totsoni dashiche, Do na kai dashanale, Akot ego asanishle. Besno de nasha, Do wijibito nasha, Do hosdo de shagan. And what I just said to you is my mom's clans. I am Sheila Lopez, and my mom's clans are Towering House and Big Water, and my father is second generation Mexican American. My mom is from Greasewood on the Navajo Nation, and my father is from Winslow, Arizona, where I was born and raised, and I currently live in Phoenix. And it's important for you to know where I come from, because in that I'm honoring my mother and my father. I'm a PFLAG mom, and I have 3 children, and in 2009, my 2 oldest came out as gay while they were in high school. I hadn't educated myself, so their coming out was not easy for them. And thankfully, my children educated me and their father, and they were so patient with us. And I quickly realized how ignorant I had been and how I had hurt them. My son encouraged me to go to PFLAG meetings, but I was reluctant. I eventually checked out the PFLAG Phoenix website and found out that they would be supporting the community at the upcoming Phoenix Pride Parade. And it was that following week. And I would make special t-shirts to show my support for my children. And we went to the Phoenix Pride Parade before ever stepping foot in a PFLAG support group meeting. And later, I would attend meetings, and I would learn how important it is for me to share my story to help others on their journey. And I wanted to support Native families and individuals because I didn't see them at our meetings. And at about that same time, I started to learn more about the Navajo traditions, the teachings, and I learned having an LGBTQ child is considered an extra special blessing. And I also learned that we have 4 genders and words for these genders. This is not new. And I wanted to share all that I had learned and support Native families, so I started a chapter that was focused on supporting Native families, which has been, to date, the only chapter. And I really hope that changes soon. Native PFLAG collaborated with other nonprofits, and through these collaborations, we started the first ever Two-Spirit powwow in Arizona, which is now an annual event. This powwow creates a safe space for Two-Spirit LGBTQ individuals, their families and friends. They come to the powwow to heal, and then they come to celebrate who they are. Because of my children, the deep love I have for my children, and PFLAG, I now educate, advocate, and support in every space I occupy. So yes, my children have blessed not only me, but the greater community as well. And I am grateful that they allow me to share our story. Before I end, I would like to thank their father, who is here. Thank you for supporting our children and standing with me and them at all the Pride events. And I want to say a special thank you to Brian for supporting our communities. The board, the region reps, and the staff for all the work that you all have done to support the BIPOC community. And if you don't know what the BIPOC community is, please look that up. And most importantly, I would like to thank all of you that have kept the PFLAG doors open to families like mine. I am deeply, deeply grateful. And one last thing, I'd like to invite you all to a workshop I'm co-hosting tomorrow at 9. So you can come and learn more about Indigenous communities and how we can better support each other. Thank you.
Is there a book up here with the, is there any verbiage up here with the thing? No? Okay. See, I'm always causing problems. Always causing problems. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy National Coming Out Day. Congratulations, Sheila. My heart is so full right now. I'm trying not to be verklempt. That was amazing. And thank you for the work that you've done with PFLAG, with the PFLAG Chapter Network, and now PFLAG National. Hello, everyone. My name is Chad Ruman. I use he, him pronouns. I'm proud to serve as the co-vice chair of the PFLAG National Board and chair of the Regional Directors Council. Shout out to my RDs in the room. For those that don't know me, I joined PFLAG, the board of PFLAG San Antonio, in 2016. And I served as president there for 3 years. I served up until last year. This has been my first year off there. It's been a little bit hard to let it go, but I've been serving in my role. I moved to, I got appointed as a regional director in 2018, and then I got onto the national board in 2020. So quite a staggering step. When you raise your hand, you say yes, you get to move places. Yeah. Let's see. So having come up through the PFLAG Chapter Network, as have all of our incredible RDs that are here, it brings me great pleasure to be able to present the first of our 4 PFLAG National Chapter Awards that we'll be giving out this weekend to PFLAG Mount Horeb, located here in the Midwest in Wisconsin. PFLAG Mount Horeb provides impactful educational programs and community outreach, including, there's a big old long list here, and I'm sure you all do a lot more than what's listed here, including collaboration with local entities, like the annual Pride Walk. Just some examples of their work are hosting monthly in-person and PFLAG Connects virtual education programs, hosting the annual Pride Walk, collaborating with local school district, the local school district, providing support at monthly school board meetings, and serving as a point of contact for the school administrators. Presenting to diverse communities and organizations, including to LGBTQ+ elders. Please don't forget the elders. Please do not forget them. Oh my goodness. At the local senior center, community outreach at Mount Horeb's Mental Health and Wellness Festival, and to village council members on creating welcoming communities. Sponsoring a community banner on Main Street, which remains in place through the year. All of this, plus providing a $1,000 scholarship to a local graduating senior, handing out progressive pride flags, and window clings to local businesses. Now, what if I told you that they do all of this in a town in a population of under 8,000 people? I mean, hey. That's very inspiring, right? I mean, I'm truly inspired by that. I live in a community of 1.3 million, and I'm like, I wish that we could do some of these things, there. That's amazing. To accept this award on behalf of PFLAG Mount Horeb, please join me in welcoming to the stage Patty Schleifer, the president of PFLAG Mount Horeb.
That's the right one.
Yes, this is yours. So,
Thank
cool.
you.
I'll hold on
you.
to it for you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This is the first time I've been to a PFLAG convention, so it's just awesome. I had no idea how I would feel at this moment, but I did know I'd feel nervous, and I am. So I asked Chad for advice, and he said, be yourself. And I said, okay, buckle up, here goes. My name is Patty Schleifer. I use she, her pronouns. I am from Wisconsin, and we pronounce it like that, Wisconsin. Yes, more importantly, Mount Horeb, Wisconsin. We are in the beautiful Driftless area, southwest of Madison, on your way to Iowa. And we are 8,000 strong. But more importantly, we are a Scandinavian, German kind of immigrant community. And in that, years ago, we had a local artist who decided when a tree was dead, instead of it just being torn down, he would carve it into a troll. So we had these living, sort of breathing trolls, and it caught on. And other artists started creating them, businesses in town. So it's my way of saying we are now called not only Mount Horeb, but we're called the troll capital of the world. Yes. So, right. It's really worth a visit if you need it. Thank you. I have the honor of serving as the current president of PFLAG Mount Horeb with just 1 month of presidency under my belt. I'm still learning the ropes, but I can't tell you how deeply honored I am to accept this chapter award on behalf of everyone whose lives have been touched by our local chapter. And thank you, PFLAG National, for this very meaningful recognition. So let's be honest, this award really belongs to my predecessor, Sue Huntenberg. Sue, yes, please, on my behalf. Sue led our chapter with a fearless heart and tireless determination for, well, let's just say probably more years than we're supposed to be allowed for. But we got away with it because I'm the president now. So, for the past decade, her steady leadership and unwavering advocacy have helped our chapter not to just survive, but to truly thrive. Sue, thank you. Our community is stronger, kinder, and we are far more visible because of you. And of course, to Jill, Anniversary Day, thank you we thank you for the love and the patience it has taken to share Sue with us, okay? And to Brooke, who's sitting at the table, who came to the conference with us, I had to arm wrestle her for who did the speech. I don't know if I won or lost. Anyway, lastly, I'll finish up here. A few years ago, our chapter was given a generous memorial donation. Along with it came a direct challenge from the family who lost their son. It was for us to become as visible as possible in our little village of 8,000. So that challenge has become one of our guiding ambitions. And so today, I thank everyone in Mount Horeb who not only sees us, but expects and depends on our presence. That trust inspires us to keep showing up. So to our board, Barb, Kim, Brooke, Becky, Nate, Sue, Wyatt, Kay, and Maggie, you're an amazing team. Thank you. Together, we will continue to do the important work of education, advocacy, and support for our LGBTQ plus community and to those who love them. Thank you, everyone.
Good job. Hello. Congratulations to Patty and Mount Horeb. And that was an excellent shout out to Sue, but I got to pile on because I hear it is her 39th wedding anniversary today. Yes. I can only hope that my wife can tolerate me for that long. Thank you. True inspiration. So you all do such impressive work, and you're making people not only feel safe, but be safe in your community. So thank you so much. And hello again. My name is Katie Blair. My pronouns are she and her. I am the Vice President of Advocacy for PFLAG National. I am so happy to have been able to join this team and now join you all at my first ever PFLAG convention. Yes. If it is your first year, will you please raise your hand? Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. Great. Well, I don't know about you all, but my heart is so full, and it's been so great to be able to meet all of you. I'm not just a face on an email, I promise. So, I got talking. I'm thrilled to be moderating today's plenary, which will kick off our brand new advocacy campaign, Fighting for Our Pride. You each got a sticker and a button in your tote bag, and my pal Patrick has sprinkled some on your tables. We hope that you sport those all year round. They look great on laptops, bumper stickers, a button for your favorite denim jacket this fall. So please help us get the word out. So, LGBTQ people and their families, all of you here know all too well the reality of the political climate, the attitudes of the public, and the sheer lack of respect that LGBTQ people are facing in the world today. There's no end to the hostile barrage of laws, city ordinances, and regulations on LGBTQ plus people, especially LGBTQ plus young people. This particular moment in history calls us to step up our work at every level of government, especially at the state and local levels. PFLAG members and supporters are uniquely qualified to meet this moment because we are fighting for and alongside our LGBTQ plus loved ones. We all know that our love is louder. But just as Governor Pritzker said yesterday, love and liberty are inseparable. The Fighting for Our Pride campaign will focus on 3 very specific and intentional areas of work. We're going to be creating safe and inclusive learning environments by fighting book bans, classroom censorship, forced outing bills, bans on transgender student athletes, and opposing so-called Don't Say LGBTQ plus laws. We're also going to be working to secure access to care and the protection of privacy, in particular bans on gender-affirming care. Lastly, we're going to be protecting full recognition and dignity in public life for LGBTQ plus people, including challenging facilities bans, ID and document regulations, and protecting same-sex marriage. I cannot believe I have to say that on this stage today. To talk about this campaign and how this work will play out this year, we've pulled together an incredible panel of activists and advocates here today. We're going to have a robust conversation about how everyone can get more involved and really do some local work and the ways that we can and must shift the narrative on our families, our freedoms, and our future. So I'm going to welcome our panelists. First, we'll welcome Aisha N. Davis, Senior Policy Counsel with the ACLU of Illinois. She's dedicated her legal career to civil rights and human rights advocacy and has worked in policy and advocacy both domestically and internationally. In her current role with the ACLU of Illinois, she focuses on LGBTQ rights and policing in the state of Illinois. The fact that she was able to make it here today with everything going on is just amazing. Thank you. She obtained her JD from Columbia Law School and an LLM from the University of London in Human Rights, Conflict, and Justice, completing the degree program with a dissertation on intersectionality and international human rights. Thank you. I told you, it's an incredible panel, and I've just got my first. So next, welcome Sam Helmick, who not only serves as the Community and Access Services Coordinator at the Iowa City Public Library, but is the current president of the American Library Association. Sam has served as a library worker for over 15 years and is the immediate past president of the Iowa Library Association. They served in that role during a year when the state experienced the second worst library adverse bills in the nation and 2 intellectual freedom lawsuits. Sam has served as ALA Intellectual Freedom Roundtable Chair-elect and was the chair of the Iowa Library Association's Intellectual Freedom Committee when they were awarded the Robert B. Downs Intellectual Freedom Award. We're just in the final day of Banned Books Week, so the fact that Sam is here is also very impressive. Thank you. And finally, please welcome our very own Southern Region Regional Director and former president of PFLAG Odessa Midland, Patty Reeves. Patty started her advocacy journey as a parent looking for resources for her two-spirit, non-binary child. In addition to chapter leadership and serving as PFLAG National's regional director, Patty and her husband facilitated a thriving Parents of Gender Diverse Children group, specifically serving affirming families as they navigate their child's journeys. She has also served 4 years as a committee lead chair for Basin Pride, the area's Pride Festival, and as a mentor, confidant, and friend to the 4 Midland, Odessa LGBTQ+ organizations over the last 4 years. She's also a friend and confidant of mine, but we'll move on there. So welcome to you all. Thank you for being here. Now we're going to dive right in. I'm going to make it to my seat. All right. Am I on? Okay, great. Okay, so we've got some questions for you. I'm going to start off, and Aisha, we'll start with you. We'll start with you, and we'll work our way down. So, you're all deeply involved in this work. Can you share an example of a time you or your organization's advocacy made a real impact?
So first, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here. And working at the ACLU of Illinois means that I have a lot that I could pull from for this answer. But because of where we are and what time it is in the world, I'm going to talk about a very meaningful full circle moment that I experienced recently. So I've lived in the Chicago area for 10 years this year. And my first job here was with Lambda Legal as a fellow. And one of the first things I did in the community was attend a rally at District 211, which if you're from Illinois, you might know as the district where we had some cases around trans and gender nonconforming students accessing bathrooms and locker rooms. And I walked into this space in Schaumburg where I had only been to the IKEA before and was met with such a loving response from the parents especially, but also the friends of the student who was being targeted and the community that had really gathered around her. And I was handed a nice poster that was beautifully made by the ACLU, and I listened to someone who's now my colleague, Ed, talk about how important it is to remember that what we are talking about is not just case law, it's not just civil rights work, it's not just about rhetoric, it's about the fact that we have a young person who just wants to be a young person and live her life. And 10 years later, we're hearing some of these same arguments coming up, and we're still in touch with that student's family as well as many other families across the state. And one of the things that we're doing alongside partnering with PFLAG and some national litigation with our national office, we're also making sure that right now, more than ever, we are in community and answering those questions, because sometimes it means we're able to talk to folks like Representative Schakowsky, who is amazing and has been a fantastic ally for decades. But it also means being in spaces where it might just be you and 1 or 2 families. And all they want to know is that their kid's going to be okay. And so I would say that some of the most meaningful, real change that we've been able to accomplish is being trusted by families. And let me tell you, I know you talked about how we are fierce advocates. Parents, parents are the fiercest advocates in the world. And I thank you all for being here and standing with your kids.
Thank you. You're up, Sam.
I think I'm going to echo that sentiment about parents being fierce advocates. When I was the chapter counselor for the state of Iowa, I was told by the current president of ILA that I didn't have to worry about intellectual freedom challenges at all. And I won't name names to protect him, but Mike was wrong. I was at an ALA council meeting and a parent called me and said, Sam, I know you don't know who I am, but I got your name off the website, and there's a minister who's checked out all of our LGBTQIA plus materials from Orange City, Iowa. He's taken them back to his hometown and he's burning them live on Facebook. And I didn't know much about intellectual freedom at that point, so I sent the board of trustees a gift card to buy donuts, because carbs always help, until I could get there. And then that was my deep dive of understanding what the Office for Intellectual Freedom actually provides to the American Library Association, what the Library Bill of Rights does for the international standard of free people reading freely. But it also helped me to be equipped when I joined the executive board about at the height of the Moms for Liberty bans. And I remember telling them that Ban Book Week is really important, but we're describing the waters and we have to start building the rafts. And so if you go to uniteagainstbookbans.org, you're going to see the largest consortium of anti-censorship allies on this side of the planet. And there are toolkits, whether you have 5 minutes, 5 hours, or 5 days, to help you push back against marginalizations of our LGBTQIA plus and BIPOC communities and the stories that they deserve to share.
And PFLAG National is part of that coalition, so we are proud to stand with the ALA and our partners there. All right, Patty?
All right, so I'm going to take you to a little local setting with a school board. So when we first arrived to Midland, Odessa area, granted, our child was not in the school system. We chose to remove them for their safety. We were very aware of a rise in bullying in one of the school districts. And at that time, the school district had reached out to the parents and said, let's do a forum. It was that bad. And so these forums had a select group of parents, anyone that had a child that had been bullied. They came, they were ready for bear, if you can only imagine. And then school district officials that were brave enough to open up that space. PFLAG decided that we needed to be in that space too. Now, granted, we did not have skin in the game. We did not have a current student that had been there that was receiving any bullying, but we knew while this large district was making their anti-bullying policies that someone needed to remind them of the LGBTQ kids that they were serving, and that the stats say 100% of them are part of that bullying. And I do believe it made a difference. It was very eye-opening to hear and experience the anguish of these parents and see a group of policymakers that were listening, and then to be kind of in the middle to remind everyone of the voices that were not there. And I do believe that it made a direct influence on their policy making, and it created alliances with 2 school board members that I knew I could call upon him if anything else was needed. And unfortunately, there was more things that was needed over time.
Thank you. All right, for my next question. The Fighting for Our Pride campaign focuses on advocacy at the state and local level. Why is it so important to direct our efforts and our advocates at these levels of government?
I can jump in. I was going to say, everyone look this way. I can jump in. And I'm happy that it looks like Rep. Schakowsky left already, because I'm going to say something. When you are talking about representatives that represent a smaller area and fewer people, it is easier to make a difference with a call. That doesn't mean you don't call Rep. Schakowsky if she is your representative, but what that does mean is that when we encourage folks to do work at the state and local level, it's because your voice has a higher level of amplification. There are, just by the numbers, fewer people that are vying for these elected officials' attention. So that's the first part of it, is reach out to your elected officials. You voted them in, you hired them to do a job, and they owe that accountability to you directly. The second reason is because spaces like this, like we have right now, are few and far between. I know that it's amazing to have you all here right now, but just by a show of hands, how many people are from the Chicago area? Right. That is less than half of the people here. So when this room is empty, the space of community that we've created right here, it doesn't disappear, but it does become more distant. And so we need people that we can reach out to, that we can text, that we can call when it is time to go down to City Hall or go down to a plaza to protest or have a rally. We need those connections. And as a millennial, I understand the importance and the depth of the relationships that we can build virtually and how important those are, especially in the age of social media that we live in. But there is nothing that will ever make up for the in-person ability to show up and support people, whether it is lobbying in Springfield, whether it is going to school board meetings, or whether it is just giving someone a hug, because it's been a very, very, very long 9 months. That community is so necessary. And we are able to push back in ways that we can't at the federal level right now. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, so I'm not giving you a lot of new information, but what we're seeing in the Chicagoland area with federal agents coming in, attacks on those institutions that have provided gender-affirming care for our young people for years, attacks on the schools that want to teach inclusive curriculum and make sure that students are educated across all areas, right? We're seeing that happen. And the best way for us to remind people that this is still a state where you can access these things is by telling them an executive order does not negate state law. An executive order or some tweet on, Truth Social, that does not dismantle the access to care that we've created in this state. Your teachers, your trusted adults that are around your children are still trusted adults. And so we have to remind people that the change that we want to build, that momentum that we want to start building up towards changing what's happening in DC, it has to start locally. There's no other way for us to fix it if we don't start with the people next to us.
So I think that the reason our founders about 250 years ago considered libraries to be an essential mechanism for this unique form of government we call a democratic republic was because we were going to need a constituency that continued to grow at the pace, right, of industry and science and knowledge, and to make informed decisions. And I wish sometimes folks would remember that, because we have this inverted weight when it comes to elections. We have much more participation in presidential elections when those local school boards, those library board of trustees, those mayors, those city councils are actually the ones that affect your day-to-day life. And in a time where the Overton window is, I'm not even sure, I think it's just shattered, right? We forget that the local is the personal, and that is the most important part of building any sort of relationship. All politics are personal, but there's something about distinctly understanding how this affects you and your neighbor that is what needs to kind of kick up to that federal and distant level. So to your point a moment ago about how we're trusted, our community of trusts have to start locally, and libraries have often been one of the most trusted faces of government. And it's not lost on me that at a time when we're trying to fight a class war and dismantle publicly funded institutions to information and opportunity is the same time we're being distracted by a critical social conversation that has been denigrated down to a culture war. And so I guess I would just remind folks that the more we talk about this at the local level, the less higher government can come in and overreach and really control our day-to-day lives. I hope that honors your question.
Yeah, you answered it.
Yeah, so I'm sure many of you who have advocated and gone to school board meetings or city council meetings, you've seen it when it's no other opposition there, or it's just you. It doesn't feel good, right? But it's something. It's an opposition. And when we don't show up to those spaces, we show our city leaders and officials there's no opposition, that no one cares. And it's a build, it's a trust, it's a consistency, right? So we need to be in those spaces now more than ever. And I know there's fear, but just being in the room and telling them that, hey, I don't agree with this. Let them know that there's a little thorn of people that say, no, we don't like this. And it is kind of a check and balance on it. I do know that when you do it consistently, right, more people see that. So think about when you go to a protest or you go to a place where there's more people than less, right? So the more, the merrier, the more stronger we are. The less people we kind of feel, oh, I don't know. But we have to go there and be there in order to get to that level.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to switch it up. It's going to be you, Sam.
I don't have pearls to clutch. I wasn't ready. Okay.
All right. So PFLAG is rooted in creating communities of support, education, and advocacy. How has community building shaped your advocacy efforts?
Oh, shucks. So I actually was born in a Christian conservative household, and some of my first interactions with literature was holding up the family paperbacks to Earth's Sun to see what had been redacted in black ink. Can I spoil Peter Benchley's Jaws? I know it's been out since 1972. It was okay that the human-eating shark was terrorizing the beach town. That was fine. That violence, that gratuity, that's fine. The marine biologist having an affair with the sheriff's wife, ooh la la. That was not permitted in the Helmick household. And so I didn't actually support the library that was built that I ended up working in and building my career. And if I hadn't volunteered there during a summer reading program, and I know this is a bit of a story, but I'll be brief. Do you all know what summer reading programs are? Do you have them in your states? Yeah. The year I volunteered, it was called To Catch a Reading Bug, and this little person comes up to me, different gender, different race, different background, and says, if you hold the tarantula, I'll pet him. And I'm like, I got this kid on 2 technicalities. I don't do tarantulas, and tarantulas are arachnids, not bugs. But I realized at that moment that this is where neighbors become thought partners, and this is where folks who might not have organically experienced each other in life, even though they lived in the same town, can have this like transformative experience. And I ended up growing a relationship with that little person and ended up taking them to college because their parents were teachers and couldn't drive them, so I had the advantage of taking them to college without raising them or paying tuition. It was fantastic. And so I guess to my point is that there are a lot of Sam Helmicks out there. And that's why I really want to talk about libraries, because once you realize libraries are welcome to all, that community is welcome to all, that literacy and learning and liberty and love are welcome to all, you can do a 180. I'm never touching a tarantula again, but I will do anything else to support liberty, love, and libraries.
How do I follow that story, honestly?
I have a tarantula.
So my work as an attorney has been guided by a lot of the work that has happened in my family and in my communities growing up. So I am the great-granddaughter of sharecroppers from Georgia on one side of my family, and on the other side, I am the grandchild of government civic employees who taught me that when you get a job in the government, it is stable and you'll get a good paycheck and great benefits. And so with those two things in mind and growing up in DC, it is not hard to come to the leap of me wanting to be an elected official. And when I found out that Bill Clinton and I have the same birthday, I thought it was in the stars that I was going to be the president. I don't want it anymore for very different reasons, but I think that having grown up in DC with a family that not only encouraged me to see the brilliance and beauty within my own community, but then traveling a lot after that. So growing up in DC, I went to an all-black Catholic school. My mother was very much dedicated to us going to Catholic schools, being raised Catholic. I wanted to be a priest for a little bit. I had a teacher tell me I couldn't because I'm a girl, not a boy like Jesus. I told him I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So, a little bit of advocacy at a young age, but leaving my home in the DC and PG County area and then going to a school named Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia, was quite a culture shock. One of the first weeks we had a freshman class meeting because a student had hung a Confederate flag in a window facing our quad. And I remember thinking to myself, why am I here and what am I doing and how do I get home as soon as I can? And then I remembered that I had a scholarship, and that's why I was there, and I couldn't leave. And so I ended up making friends with people who I never thought I would ever interact with. My freshman year roommate called me over the summer before we moved in and wanted to plan which of our houses we would stay at during vacations. And I said, I have one where we live all year round. And she was like, oh. So that was culture shock number one. But from there, I met the children of senators. I met people who had never done a day of laundry in their lives. I met people who had stamps in their passport from before they could read. And on the other side, I met a community of people who lived in Lexington, Virginia, whose population ballooned every time Washington and Lee and Virginia Military Institute were in session. I learned to show kindness and compassion in the way that I was raised as a very Catholic kid to everyone that I was around. And so when I saw things like these very spoiled and entitled classmates of mine treating people like they weren't people just because they were wearing aprons or because they were pushing a broom, I took it upon myself to create community that was not only within the school, but within the community. I ended up volunteering at Head Start. I volunteered at our juvenile justice center in the area. I wanted to know who made Lexington up outside of these halls of academia or the Military Institute down the street. And what I found is that no matter how hostile it might feel somewhere, they were trying to build a museum to the Confederacy in Lexington when I was there in undergrad, right? Like no matter how hostile it felt, there was always community. There were the people who worked in our cafeteria who would not see me sometimes, and then when they saw me again were like, hey, I saved your favorite pastry. There were the professors who were scholarship kids themselves who never anticipated getting tenure at a school where the namesakes of this university would have owned us or been threatened by us existing. It was a space where I had to learn how to thrive because I had to learn how to be in wherever I was planted. And over the course of those 4 years, I was able to study abroad quite a few times, including a trip to the Pine Ridge Reservation. And so when Sheila was, I don't know, I think there you are. When you were up here speaking, I was almost brought to tears because one of the things I remember the most vividly from my 4 years in undergrad was staying with our professor's family. He was adopted by a Lakota family in the Pine Ridge Reservation. And his grandmother was making us food that tasted like food that my grandmother made. And I'm getting emotional now thinking about it because when I told her that, she said, that's how you know that there's more that unites us than divides us. There's more that makes us the same. And so to kind of wrap it all up, I will say that no matter how hostile a space has felt to me, I've lived in Seattle, Delaware, London, no matter how hostile it has felt, there's always someone who you can find that connection with. There's always a way to grow where you're planted. And it is those small seeds of community that really help you become the best advocate that you can be.
Patty, I know you have some amazing insight to share.
My family and I spent 4 years in Midland, Odessa, Texas. Before we moved, Milo came out to us, and I took them to the reddest place in Texas. And I needed to find community. I did not know what that community looked like. I was not educated. I knew nothing. But there was a little queer community out in West Texas, and they became our chosen family, and I learned from them. And as a mom, fierce mom, I needed a space for my child. And then I realized I needed space for multiple children, and then young adults that wanted to be leaders in their community. And one thing that we did very well is we created our bubble, right? And so life was actually thriving for a certain point of time in West Texas. It's still thriving. They're still there, still doing. It was because of those experiences and meeting these wonderful beings and their parents and their allies and seeing them survive in such a harsh climate that led to my direction of advocacy. And I knew what to do, not because I knew what to do, but because they told me what they needed. And I was like, okay. And that's how that started.
Thank you. So this is one of the most important questions I think that I'm going to ask today. Many of us are feeling worn down by the constant barrage of anti-LGBTQ plus attacks from those in power. What gives you hope right now, and what helps you keep going?
I think I'll start by saying that we all feel like we're drinking from a fire hose right now, right? With all the things that are happening. And I feel hopeful when I am able to spend time with my nieces and nephew, because I truly believe that the children are our future, not just because we're gonna die, but because I see the spark of curiosity and wonder and the fire in them. I was at the table just speaking with folks about how I have a niece who is a twin, and she's about to turn 10, and she is at that age where young girls often are told to be seen and not heard. It has not taken root in her psyche, and I am so grateful for it, because that little fireball of a child gives me hope. I am given hope when I see the children in my community, and I feel very lucky to live in a building where on one half it's people without children, and on the other half it's people with children. It's like I can retreat to my apartment if I need to have a drink, but I can go out and like see my neighbors if I need to experience the youth, right? But seeing the curiosity that they still have. At one point I had like pink braids, and one of my neighbor's kids came up to me and just stared in that way that we know is not polite because we're adults, but she just was like, this is, what's going on there? And it was the opening to a conversation where now every time she sees me, she like stops first to like see what hairstyle I have, and then she tells me about her life. And it's that small little connection, right, that started with us talking about how I had what she called mermaid hair, and then it has blossomed into now every time she sees me, I get the life download of a 6-year-old. And she asks me questions and I answer them honestly, but in a way that my neighbor doesn't get upset at the HOA meetings. But it gives me hope to see these young people who don't think about how queer their neighbor might look. They don't think about how inappropriate it might be to ask a question because they see me as a big human who has more answers than they have as a small one. And the fact that I know that I am able to give them information that is honest, and that I'm able to meet them with kindness, and I'm able to be that example, that living example of what community can look like when your neighbor doesn't look like you, when your neighbor's not from where you're from, where your neighbor has a different lived experience, but you all call home the same place. And so I feel hopeful because I see the future through their eyes when they talk to me. I see the future through my 15-year-old niece's eyes, who took me to go see a play for her birthday. She wanted to go to Broadway because she knew I lived in New York at some point. And I don't know if anyone has seen the play Anne Juliet. If you haven't, I recommend it. Yeah, but for the folks who've already seen it, we know that there is a queer story that is a part of the story. And my niece during intermission turns to me and is like, I can see her trying to think through how she's supposed to talk about this character because I don't know if we were clearly given their pronouns. And so she's like, character by name. I really think they're cool. I don't understand what's happening, but there's something going on. And the fact that my then 13-year-old niece could look at me and have this conversation about gender fluidity, about queerness, about transness, without fear of me judging her or telling her she's not old enough to understand or belittling it and trying to brush past it, gives me hope, because when I was 13 in my very Catholic school, I didn't have that conversation. And that means that she's already that much further ahead, and the future is already that much brighter because these are the young people that we're able to talk to and guide.
I think it's two or threefold. The first is that, when you're a library worker in the year of our Lord 2025, people like to pretend that ChatGPT and the internet replaces all of knowledge. We actually conflate content with knowledge and knowledge with wisdom. And so the fact that we've had like a banned book czar and this has been part of the political discourse for half a decade kind of puts the relevancy question to bed. There's some silver lining if you squint. But I also really like the fact that when folks continue to show up for their speech, for their communities that are being marginalized, for the violation of civil rights, we actually do win. We were a nation founded on not really winning, but just resisting until the other side stops. And I really appreciate the fact that we're staying in character. And then on a personal note, I am the first openly non-binary president of the Iowa Library Association and the American Library Association. And so my heart is warmed not only by graduate students or prospective library workers who tell me that they're willing to run towards this fire and be a helper, you know, to use Mr. Rogers' words, in this field, but also that they didn't know that there was space for them as another trans, you know, like fluid or non-binary person, and so they'll reach out, and I have this happiness folder of all of these folks who, like you see, these micro connections where I don't want ALE president to be on my Wikipedia page when it's all done. I want to think of all these folks in my folder who are making life different and understand they're welcome and they're making the profession better. And so that makes my heart warm every day.
Wow, hope for me right now is everyone in this room and the fuel you give each other and me, and I thank you for that, because it is in our numbers that make us feel stronger, that we can go do anything and go conquer the world. Sometimes, you know, when we leave and we go back home and maybe there's only 2 of us that are free for a board meeting and maybe the other person can't go, and you're like, I don't know if I feel like I can go, fearful, right? So that's one big thing of hope. The other thing that makes me hopeful, because I do attend the protest, and as I go, I see more people come to the fold. I'm like, oh, you're here now. Good. I'm glad you got here, right? And so I find myself hopeful when it looks a lot more colorful. When we're doing it together, I have found myself in conversation with people while I'm holding my trans flag and my trans shirt and got my trans kid, and this guy's really pissed off about his taxes, and I'm like, that's fine, and he's agreeing with what I'm doing, and I agree with what he's doing, and we're agreeing together, and I'm like, bet you didn't expect that happening today, sir, did you? So that's hopeful, and a personal hope is when I see Milo do the crafting that they're doing and finding little joys throughout the day and having an agenda of what they're doing for the day, which is very hopeful to me when I see that.
I want to get into one of the questions we got over Huva, and this was something that we saw, you know, kind of over and over again, which is, how do we speak out and still feel safe?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to start with the ACLU answer, and then I'm going to give you the personal answer. So, as someone who works at the ACLU of Illinois, there are so many resources online about protest safety. I would encourage everybody to go check out our website. The ACLU of Illinois' website is aclu-il.org. But let me tell you, our national office has fantastic information too. So if you just want to remember aclu.org, go there. All the information you need is there for protest safety. The next thing I'll say is that we are seeing a time where the shift in what policy and the rhetoric is sounding like has made it so that when we started saying that people are no longer allies, they're accomplices, that might be a real thing at some point. And what that means is that we are being very vigilant as attorneys for civil rights to push back on any attacks that we are seeing when it comes to suppressing First Amendment rights, especially in this time. So for folks who are not familiar with what's going on in Illinois here on the ground, there have been daily protests at the Broadview Detention Center, which is not too far from here, because federal agents are detaining people there after sometimes disappearing them off the street, right? Our communities refuse to sit down and be quiet. Shout out to what Sam was saying. They're absolutely right. We believe in resisting here in Chicago. And what we have seen is a violent backlash against people who are peacefully protesting, including video of a priest, I believe, being shot in the head with a pepper ball from someone at like a sniper's height, I believe. So when I say that, I'm sharing it because that is still happening on the ground, right? All the lawsuits we file, all the Know Your Rights trainings we do, everything we can tell you about what your rights are will not always stop harm from happening. And I want to be very clear about that. And so what it means today is that when you are speaking up, you are putting on even more armor than we used to. I'm not saying it was ever easy to be that lone person in the school board meeting, but today it feels even more difficult and more dangerous, and that's why the ACLU wants to be especially explicit about our standing behind you and standing with you. And I'm happy to share that we did file a lawsuit as the ACLU of Illinois to represent not only some of the reporters who were present at Broadview, but some individuals who were present. And we got I believe, a preliminary injunction or a temporary restraining order against these federal agents from using these violent tactics to suppress speech. So, I'm sharing that because in these moments, it is so hard and it can feel so dangerous, especially depending on what we look like, if we're wearing the trans flag, if we are more noticeable in a crowd, or if we stand out in a specific way, it can feel even more dangerous to us. And I want you to know that you have the force of an army behind you every time you decide to speak out like that. And even though I'm not a litigator, shout out to those who litigate. I can't do it myself. But I want you to know that there are people who are in the courtrooms fighting for you. We're in City Hall, we are in the State House, we are in DC, we are everywhere next to you and behind you. So your voice is protected even if your rights are violated. And we will stand with you throughout it. So that's the ACLU part. The personal part, I will say, is make sure that you are doing the things that feel safe for you. And when I say safe, I don't mean that you won't have any backlash. I mean safe in that you go to the protest with a buddy. You have a plan for how you're gonna get to safety. You know the number of the National Lawyers Guild or the First Defense Legal Aid folks who can come and get you bailed out of prison. You know how to cover your visible tattoos when you go out and protest. You know how to save yourself, protect yourself, what your rights are. You're putting that armor on for not just yourself, but for those next to you, for those behind you, and for those who are coming after you. And so to be the safest right now is to do the thing that Sam is defending at the library every day, which is being educated and informed about what you can do. Because it might be you that tells someone, hey, they're using tear gas. This person has milk for when you need to rinse your eyes, but here are some goggles. You might be the person that says, hey, yeah, you have your phone on Do Not Disturb, but also disable the 2G so they can't track you. You are sharing that information. You are being an advocate, and you are defending those rights because you know what they are. And so that, I think, makes us the safest we can ever be, is by being that informed group of people that you can't suppress because we actually know what we can do and what our rights are.
I want to plug that we have a video on our Advocacy in 10 Minutes or Less page all about protesters' rights, and we definitely use all of the tools that the ACLU provides. So check it out. All right, Sam?
So I think that it's about building community like what we're doing today. When I think about Senate File 496 in the state of Iowa, which is an age-inappropriate bill for LGBTQIA titles in schools in the state of Iowa, that's a legally murky term, I think. I am 39 and I have a Lego room in my house, so I'm not an authority on what age-appropriate is. And I don't think most of the teacher librarians and media specialists were either. And so what we ended up doing was working with the Association for School Librarians. And I literally had to sit at their feet and ask them questions because I'd homeschooled. I couldn't use a locker combination to save my soul. And they taught me the problems with every line of the bill, and then we wrote a letter of inquiry to the Department of Ed. And if I hadn't built those relationships with the schools, if I hadn't built those relationships with the parents, if I hadn't built that relationship with the media, then they wouldn't have printed it in the Des Moines Register, and Penguin Random House would not have picked it up and sued the governor with the other 5 largest publishers in the country. So if I'm going to leave you with a phrase, it's the world's orchestra needs all of its instruments. It's not my job to be a media specialist. It's my job to ask and find the information from the source. It's my job to connect the dots and power map and build the relationships long before the legislative session comes. And it's my job to recognize that if I need to craft the talking points for others who can drop the mic when some of us in public service can't, whether that's retired librarians or folks who live a little bit like outside of that danger zone, we need to lean into each other. And then lastly, it is kind of a steady acceptance. It's an acceptance that safe is not going to mean for a long time what it has historically meant to some of us for a while. We have to stand together, or else there will not be a together to stand.
All right, Patty, you get the last word, and then I've got assignments for everyone.
So here's the thing with advocacy. We say safety before advocacy, yes? That's what we've always said. We always look at the safety, we look at the advocacy, we look at the risk. As we continue, we find that if we don't do, we won't be able to make that choice later. So we have to reassess that, right? There are times in my advocacy that we did stop advocating, and that was after we had received our CPS investigation for medical neglect for giving HRT therapy. I know what it feels like to be scared, and we had a lot to lose. A child being taken from us, right? Whether they intended to do that or not, the damage was done. Our child is now 18, and I feel a little more fiery in my belly now that I've got them at an adult age, but there is still risk for the Reeves family to do things, just like there's risk for each one of you to do things. And it doesn't have to be protest. It doesn't. It could be getting your rainbow shirt out that maybe you only wear at PFLAG meetings and wearing it on Tuesday. Right?
On Tuesday, we wear rainbow.
We wear rainbow on Tuesday. It's doubling down on the bumper stickers. It's putting the flag back outside if you did take your flag inside. It's building alliances within community. It's reaching out to partners. It's finding those people. Advocacy is a lot of things. We can do hard things, right? And so find what advocacy is to you, and in your privilege, how much you can put yourself out there. Because for those of us that have privilege, get out there and get in front of our brothers and sisters and nibblings and all our BIPOC friends, because they need us too. So that's.
Thank you. I want to say, as your Vice President of Advocacy, it is one of my core beliefs that we give people a range of opportunities to advocate that aren't necessarily on the front lines. We want you to be comfortable in your advocacy, but we also want you to do advocacy. So know that you will always, if we ask for you to do something, you will always have a range of things to fit your comfort level. So now we're on to the next steps of this. So first off, thank you so much to the amazing panelists today for sharing your insights, experiences, your wisdom. Thank you. I also want to thank the amazing advocacy team, Josie and Patrick. You will be hearing from us a lot. We will be asking you to step up and step out for us, and so stay tuned on that. I also want to thank you all for helping us launch Fighting for Our Pride today. This is our biggest national campaign, advocacy campaign, and I'm really excited to have you all on the team. So now here we will be posting a QR code on the slide. There you go, thank you. That will take you to our campaign's homepage that we launched today. There's also a link there for those of you who are QR code adverse. So on it, you can sign up for our campaign launch webinar happening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, October 22nd. Mark your calendars. I want to see you all there. That's where we're going to get in the nitty-gritty of this campaign, and you'll figure out where you fit in. You will also find, because we aren't just signing up for webinars here, we're also going to contact our lawmakers. So you'll also find an opportunity to contact your lawmakers and demand that they join us in fighting for our community. Whether your lawmaker is with us or against us, they need to hear from you. Right now, we are building a national movement. It takes all of us, and we need everybody with us that we can, and if they're not with us, they need to hear from us. So, and that's my program. So thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you again to our panelists, to all of you, and have a wonderful rest of convention. Thank you.